Today's video is a recap on Heart Beat Precure and why I have given them specific ratings, and I'll go over the pros, the cons, and then give you my overall decided ranking. So, let's see. For episode 1 of Heart Beat Precure, I gave this a 5. I gave this a 5 because, well, we started off alright. If I recall, the designs for the girls were nice. We never really knew all the names until later on in the series, of course. Ali was the blue one. I liked the little dress-up scene here. However, I felt like when we first found out that the girls were Precure, there wasn't really like a origin story as to why are you the Precure, why are you fighting who you are actually fighting, who are the bad guys, where are you, what is your hometown called, etc, etc. I felt it was a little lacking. However, well, I just kind of liked the episode as like to start off with. Now, just bear in mind, just because I'm saying this, I'm not going to give every episode 1 of every review I'm doing a 5. I just genuinely liked the little bit of comedy in this, the character designs, etc. So that's why I gave it a 5. It was a bit hard with some of the spelling errors from time to time. The text at one point was hard to read. That's just basically all I can remember from that one. Oh yeah, as well as that, I forgot to say, it probably says when I gave the rating that I only knew the name of the green magical girl, Olive, but then when I recalled back to watching the episode, I then realised that the blue girl was called Ali. Now for episode 2, I did give it a lower mark than the first one, so I gave it a 4. But I did like how we just continued where we left off, so it's good to see that. I like shows and entertainment where they do that. However, I didn't like how the villain was just easily able to run away. I liked the little thing where Olive was messing around with the girls when they were in the doll form. But I didn't quite understand who the second villain was, what their business was with the crown. It felt really like... Well, I didn't hate the episode. It was kind of short. I liked the little bit at the end where she just falls. I like the little graphic with the hand, but I also thought the music didn't really suit very well. It's a good piece of music, I'll give you that. It's something I've heard in a couple of other videos at times, but to reuse the same music, you could have just done like what you did with episode 1, just threw in a little bit of something different. But I don't want to be too critical, you know, I'm giving everyone a chance, and this is my first time reviewing a series, but I gave it a 4 because I just felt like there was a lot of things that continued to be left unanswered. Episode 3 of Heart Beat Precure got a ranking of 5 out of 10 from me. I liked how, again, we just continued where we left off. The girls save Olive, and then there was a plan to try and lure the villain out into a showdown. I didn't know the red magical girl at the time, like what her name was, but I kind of like how she was just picked on because she was like the first target in episode 1, so then she was used as bait in episode 3 wearing a fake crown. I didn't quite understand the pacing. Some scenes felt a little bit slow, some seemed like they were dragging on. The music, again, was the same choice, but I guess if that's the easiest thing for you to do, that's fine, but I like a bit of variety. The one thing that caught me off guard was the comedy, and the bit where the villain turned blue. I don't understand why, but she reminded me of like a Smurf or something. You know, like that scene from one of the Smurf movies where Smurfette, because I think, is it Smurfette, the female one? There's a scene where she changes. It sort of reminded me of that almost. Or like the characters from Avatar, and I don't mean The Last Airbender. I liked how it just ended like that. It's like all the girls were in danger. And, well, I enjoyed it more than the second episode, basically, so I gave it a 5. Episode 4 was interesting, to say the least. I gave this one a 5. While I'll admit in the ranking part, I said I liked the combat. I liked the mix of comedy and suspense with it. We finally got to see the use of certain props and presets used in Gacha Life. I know we were limited there, of course, but yeah, I liked the little touch of things. It felt nice to see something like that, and I liked the panda scene. That caught me off guard too. I like pandas, but yeah, we figured out that wasn't really a panda, wasn't it? The only thing that I disliked about this episode, and I probably didn't say this until sometime a few episodes later, is I get that they're in a dark location, but it's hard to tell where they're going. It's just black screen. I could have at least added a few monuments or something, little stones or something, just to show where they're going. I felt a bit unsure that they were okay splitting up, but well, they seem to know what they were doing. The music, once again, a choice, but yeah, I won't nitpick at that any further. You get the idea. So, episode 4 got a 5. I also forgot to say the name of episode 4 was The Shining Cure. And, well, the only thing I saw shining was the light at the end of where they were going. And it didn't really show anyone that that was, in fact, a shining cure. The title seemed misleading. But I could sort of see where you were going with this episode. And, well, you did stick to the point. There was something shining, at least. Episode 5, of course, gets a 5, not just because it's the same number, but because I liked the story with this one. So, basically, we went from the Shining Cure to the Dark Cure, and, well, we basically see that we got a new character, which, strangely enough, looks like a cure. I liked the yellow colour scheme with this one. The only thing was I didn't understand the villain in this part of the episode. Why they turned the so-called Shining Cure into a Dark Cure. But I guess it's a good way of showing that you can have a fight with a cure against another cure. But it could have been done a little better. Otherwise, I could have scored it a little higher. I liked how she was attacking, and then I like how we're just left with, oh, we were all together, and now we're just separated, we gotta find one another. Unfortunately, episode 6 got a 4 from me, despite how I liked the group attack near the end. Well, I have to keep saying I like how the story has continuation, like it's not separate stories. I like how it just progresses on and on. The only thing with this was I found some of the fight before the group attack to be a little confusing. While the girls did get a power-up of sorts, I felt that some parts were too fast. I mean, like the speaking roles, I don't mean them moving about, but I guess if it fits the atmosphere of the scene, then I guess that should be okay. But otherwise, it was too quick for me to even read. And whether or not there was an error or not with the group attack, I noticed that Blue Diamond, Ali, she didn't have her diamond mark on her cheek, so I don't know if that was an error or if that's just foreshadowing. I don't know. I did like the group attack, though. It seemed very colourful. I could tell where you were going with it. Almost elemental, I'd say. The weapons are cool. The name of the attack seemed similar to the name of the team, Heart Beat Precure. Yeah. All in all, this would have got a higher score if I wasn't being a little critical, but, well, it was a good episode anyway, nonetheless. Episode 7 got a 4 from me, because even though we were able to finally see something other than the colour black as a background, there was a lot of spelling errors for the word flood, how you could spell it right in the title but not in the actual video where the girls were speaking, like Ali. No, not Ali. Ali was the one that was like, what the heck? And then Sid, the red one, yeah, we find out Sid is the red one in, I forgot to say, this was probably episode 5. She was like, oh, there's a flood, or why is there a flood? And then Ollie was saying the same thing, or was like, oh, how should I know there's a flood? Or, I forget the wording at this point, but they both had it spelt wrong, and I must have commented on that during the video. The power-up for this, I thought was pretty funny at first, because at first I thought Sid pushing Ellie in the water was like some sort of revenge or something, but then I can't remember what. They almost looked like they were becoming fish at one point, did Ellie. And then I did like the little group effort, but it seemed a little, compared to what I saw as the group attack in the last episode, episode 6, it seemed very lacking, and it just seemed too easy to work out how to move a big body of water from the flood. I get this is a Precure thing and anything's possible with powers, but it just seemed like, oh, there's a flood. Oh, we need to transform. Problem solved, we don't need a plumber. I honestly felt like more could have been done in the episode, like plot points, discussions, etc. Can I just say the music in here as well, it's still the same. But the good thing about this episode is we learn that the yellow girl was named Gabriella. I liked her outfit at the end of this episode. I do like the name Gabriella. It's a nice girl's name, I think. Now, episode 8, it got a 3. Now, I liked the intro. I liked how we were having this thing where the girls were dressing up for Halloween, not clearly explaining why the flood just, like, ruined the school dance. But, yeah, if that's happening, why are you having a Halloween party instead? Like, are you doing it in a different place or something? I get it. The whole premise of this show, for some reason, was, yeah, at the start was like, yeah, we're having a party at the school. And then, well, it's reminding the viewers that they're having a party, but you don't find out more about that until, I'd say, episode 8 here, because then we find out that the flood took place. We don't know why or what did this, but the girls are basically changing for a different party now. So the outfits that Ali got, I don't know if that was for nothing or if that was like she'll still wear that, I don't know. But to have a party be altered because you couldn't have an original one, it's okay, I guess. I'm assuming it seemed like a Halloween party, I'm guessing. I don't remember without watching the video again. I loved the outfits. I especially loved Gabriella's Where's Waldo outfit. That was pretty smart. I didn't quite understand, though, the music that was playing, who the other people were at the party, and obviously, of course, there was a villain attack, so whether those other characters were henchmen or if they were taken over, like how you would in a Magical Girls show, where you have a normal member of the public become a villain or temporary monster or taken over. I don't know. We never see anything of the villains again like that after this episode, but I didn't obviously know that until later on. The blood moon thing could have really have been red. To call a moon a blood moon, it's literally a red moon, or the moon is red. And to hear it say blood heart, I didn't quite understand the concept because I couldn't see a visual image of it. I'm more of a visual person. If I don't see what you mean, I won't understand. So I am a little slow with that. Ali, I've got to say, is an easy target. She's easily able to get corrupted. I've noticed this. Whether this was happening in another episode, I don't remember. But I don't even know if Ali's the leader, the blue one. I couldn't tell. But, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you gotta have that in a plot point. One of them's gotta be, like, weaker of the heart, falls into traps easily. But because I didn't understand why she was looking at a supposed blood moon when it was normal, I didn't quite understand this episode. Thus, it felt like the story made no sense at this point, so I gave it a 3. And finally we have episode 9, which unfortunately I had to give it a 3. I noticed at the end of episode 8, all the girls were running together, and then Ali saw the moon, but then Sid, the red one, said that they wanted Ali to catch up, and so she was following. But when you start episode 9, I noticed that everyone except Ali, the blue one, everyone except her was in the same spot. And what are we greeted with? A darkened, evil version of Ali. I don't know why this happened. I don't know how it happened. I mean, obviously, if she became evil because of the moon, that makes sense. But you don't have someone running the same direction and then you start brand new as if like, oh, well, I'm just going to do this instead. It felt to me like I've skipped something. I don't think I've missed an episode. Let me know if I have. But I think that the 9th episode's the last one and there were only 9 episodes. I liked how Ali's weapon was different. But I didn't like how the fight scene seemed sloppy. I understood where it was coming from, but it felt sloppy. I don't understand what Ali did at the end, though, to defeat the villain. Or why the girls suddenly wore white outfits when they were trying to get Ali back. I don't know. I kept thinking they were ghostly or like angels or like I felt like I weren't sure what was happening because there was no announcement of a scene to transform. And it just seemed pretty easy for Ali to just return back. Usually you've got to really fight for it and push, confront the villain that's controlling you, accept a few moral values, etc. And I was about to say some extra bits during the video like that, but then I got taken aback all of a sudden by what I think was the actual super forms. I'm not sure, but I loved the colour scheme. I like lighter palette colours like that. I just didn't quite understand one thing about episode 9 at the end. They became super, I think. But then you're back in the normal world. Everything seems normal. And you're still in the super forms. And usually in a Precure episode, normally these forms are just used as like an upgrade or near to the end of an episode, or like those All-Star movies where you go ahead with the attack against the villain to save the world. Now, I don't know what happened at the end of that episode specifically, but it seemed like everything was okay and that Ali proclaims that they can't wait to have more adventures. Well, unfortunately here, this is episode 9 and it was called the finale. So whether or not there's more adventures coming for Heart Beat Precure or not, I really don't know. But until then, this finale of a series with episode 9 gets a 3. Now I'm going to take all those scores and I am going to give my final opinion and final overall rating of Heart Beat Precure as a whole. After some very careful thinking I have come to the decision that I will give Heart Beat Precure the overall rating of 4. Why did I choose 4? Well, I kinda had high hopes for this series. I have watched it before in the past without thinking anything much of it, while I was scrolling and discovering Precure in the first place. However, I chose to review this first because it's a series I'm familiar with. I watched it a number of years ago and I thought, why not come back to it and just for fun review it. I'm giving it a 4 as a whole, mainly because looking back at it now, it felt like it could really have some potential, but it was missing a whole lot of good things here. We don't know the name of the villains, we don't know why the villains were doing what they were doing, I don't know how Ali, Sid, Olive and Gabriella first became Heart Beat Precure. One thing I didn't mention in the review is there is no mascot. Usually there's a mascot for these things. Now, unless there's transformation videos out there on the channel, I don't recall seeing anything like that in the show. I could probably check it out when I'm passing time, but I do have some other things to review at some point. But if there is anything I've missed, just let me know and I will try and look into it. But because I didn't see it as a whole in episode format, that is a real critical thing for me. If I don't see how you've become a Precure, how they transform, etc., or even a mascot, well, you're going to get low points from me, I'm afraid. Overall, the story seemed decent enough. It's about the girls who are trying to set up a party, setting up for that for school, but then the villains are just like, no, we're not having you do that, and then they just chaos ensues. But again, I didn't quite understand why the villains were doing things as they are or why they existed. The music for me, I know I keep hammering on about this music and I said I wouldn't. I do have to address, it's a nice piece of music, but it didn't fit every single second of that episode. By that I mean certain scenes just didn't feel like it needed that music. It's like if you're going to have a scene where you kill someone and this music plays. No, not for me, I'm afraid. I didn't quite understand the location of where the girls were. I didn't know where in the world they are, other than they were in a dark place for the majority of the episodes. I don't know why Gabriella was turned evil in the first place, why the town was flooded. I don't know anyone else. There was just a lot of things that didn't have an answer. I felt like it was lacking in places. I don't know if it was done intentionally. Otherwise, this was a decent attempt, but it could be just a tiny bit better. Now, don't worry, don't take anything I say to heart. This is just for entertainment purposes. I do not mean to cause any upset or harm to anyone who I review. This is just purely for entertainment and just my point of view on the series that I've just watched. So don't worry about that. I wouldn't like to be in trouble by anyone. Would I recommend this to anyone? I'd recommend it to those who may probably want to discover the Precure series in gacha format, but maybe just consider using this video as just take lessons from it. Just learn about Precure first. Then maybe if you've already got a series of your own, just look back at it, think to yourself, can it be better? Can I make it okay? Is the quality like this? Do you want it to be similar? I'd say watch this episode if you're wanting to pass time, but also not wanting to take things seriously. So Heart Beat Precure gets a 4 from me as a whole. Thank you very much for allowing me to review this video, and thank you so much for taking part in watching my series. Now, tune in next time when I will be covering something completely different. Until then, please stay tuned.